So welcome. We're so excited for Upace and Traction Rack to present a virtual roundtable for community rec centers on data-driven member engagement. So to introduce myself, my name is Rachel Koretsky. I am the founder and CEO of Upace. We are a member-driven platform around mobile app engagement and reservation software, working with close to 200 community rec centers across the United States and Canada, and having a very close integration and partnership with Traction Rack. And we've been building and supporting the community rec industry for about 10 years now. So Lauren, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Hi, everyone. Lauren Goldman here. I am a customer engagement specialist with Traction Rec. I've been with the team for almost 2 years now, using Traction Rec to empower our nonprofit community centers to make a greater impact in their communities, using an industry-leading member management CRM is our goal. Very happy to be here today moderating with you, Rachel.
Amazing. Thank you, Lauren. So up next, we have three amazing panelists that are going to join in and going to dive in around their data dashboards and how and what they're doing of looking at data to streamline member engagement. So Wes, we're going to start with you and ask you to give an introduction for yourself. He is the Center Director of YMCA of Memphis and Mid-South.
Absolutely. Rachel, thank you guys for having me. Like she said, my name is Wes, and I work for YMCA Memphis and Mid-South. I'm currently the director of the Cordova Family YMCA. And probably like a lot of you on this call, I'm kind of a utility player for our association. I've done just about every single role inside of a center. Started off as a personal trainer. So I got to know Rachel probably a couple of years ago as part of the implementation team for Traction Rec and Upace to make sure they came online successfully. And here I am now just trying to pull all the pieces together and pull the data where it makes sense and actually drives results in our centers.
Amazing. Thank you, Wes. So next, Emilio. He is the IT director of YMCA of San Diego County.
Rachel, hi everyone. Hey, my name is Emilio Alvarez. I'm really excited to be here. I'm the IT director of DevOps for the YMCA of San Diego County. And for the last 26 years, I've had the privilege of serving RY alongside our CIO, John Merritt, and an incredible IT team who supports our staff, the mission of the Y, and the communities we serve. For background, we're 3 years now into this journey with Salesforce and our partnership with Upace and Traction Rec. And my current role is leading technology development and implementation efforts with focus on experience improvement and innovation.
Amazing. Thank you, Amelia. And up next, we have Gabrielle, from a data and system manager from Valley of the Sun JCC.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Gabriel Brand. I'm the data and systems manager here at the Valley of the Sun JCC. We've been on Salesforce, Traction Rec, and with Upace for about 2.5 years now. I've been at the Valley of the Sun JCC for about 7 years. Started out as a lifeguard in our aquatics department.
Amazing.
So for today's agenda, we've gone through our welcome and introductions. We'll be doing a show and tell with our panelists and then discussing with them what they've shown us. And then we'll have an open Q&A session for everyone that's in attendance, and then a quick conclusion at the end. However, before we do that, we have a very important question that we want to ask both our panelists and participants that are here on the call with us. If you want to put your answer in the chat, we'd love to hear what you think. But how about our panelists tell us what's one skill or superpower you wish you had that you don't?
You know, I was trying to come up with something clever for this one. The real skill that I want is I want to be an expert in reporting on Salesforce. But the clever one that I wanted to say, this is relevant, is that I wish I could predict sporting events, because our bracket we had here in Memphis, I was in first place up until the very end. So if I had gotten the last one right, I would have won. I would have been in the top 1% of the whole world. So anyway, that's my superpower I wish I had right now.
Nice. That's awesome, Wes. Yeah, I typically will go with something like flying or time travel or teleportation. But honestly, I'd settle for just having the power to like pick the exact right Tupperware container size for leftovers. It's always rice, always too much of it.
For me, right now, my superpower would be to just know everything I need to know about Salesforce without having to study too hard would be mine. So yeah.
And anyone on the attending, please join in and add some stuff. Steph, I know you just said that was funny with Gabe and Mira being able to sleep before 9 p.m., Jason, time travel. So please keep sharing it with you. It's always great to be able to see it. So up next, let's jump in and let's get started. So Wes is going to kick us off. So Wes, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and ask you to share. And Wes is going to really focus on his custom Salesforce dashboards and widgets around Group X and personal training.
Absolutely. Give a little bit of context. So you guys talked about data journey. We are definitely on one of those two for YMCA of Memphis. And the gist of it is that we know all the data is there in Salesforce. That's not necessarily a problem. It's there. But for us, it's how do we visually represent it? How do we make sure it's actionable? How do we make sure it's actually being used and not just another thing that we do? So I'm going to show you guys a few things, but I want to start with a little bit of what we're doing in a sense of goals. And this started with an autopsy. And I use the word autopsy mostly because I'm a big Jim Collins fan. And we really wanted to look from top to bottom of where are we? Where are we now? And just start there. So we went through this autopsy and we found some things, right? Which I think you would normally find if you start digging underneath all the stones. So it started with two main insights, and I'm going to share my screen because there are technically three dashboards. Don't be mad at me, Rachel. There are three dashboards, but I'll be very brief on them. The first one is our insights dashboard. So I'm going to go and share this first. Beautiful. All right. You guys see what I'm seeing? You guys look good? So key insights, and this is nothing profound or brand new probably in YMCAs, but member churn is a real thing, right? So we started seeing that we lose a lot of our members very early on in their membership. And more specifically, we pulled the attrition rates of last year and we found that 50% of them left in under 6 months, okay? So autopsy, not the best metric in the world, but that's the point. When we dug in a little bit deeper, we started seeing some more metrics that kind of jumped out to us. And the first one I want to show you is this guy right here. And we see a pretty stark difference between a handful of our centers versus others on their lifespan, including my own actually, where we have 3 of them, primarily here, that it's no coincidence that they have the highest amount of financial assistance needed for their membership, and they also have the shortest lifespan, right? So that's the first insight that we kind of got that we're like, there's something that we have to change there. We have to fix something. The other side of it is that we felt like our profit margin in our paid for programming was being hindered by unintentional behaviors. And what I mean by that is just errors across the board. And when we look at them, our first approach that we took this year, once we got this autopsy under our belt, was to focus heavily on personal training, okay? I'm sure every single person on here has some sort of program, but the next insight I really want to show you guys is what has happened from taking this approach, putting some data in front of us. And here are the big trends right here. This is quarter over quarter. And the biggest trend you'll see here is that there's a stark climb that goes from Q1 of this year versus Q1 of last year, okay? And this right here is a direct correlation with getting some new tools in front of our centers to where they can track personal training a little bit more effectively. And it's dramatic. I mean, it jumps. It's doubled year over year. The hopeful part of this is that it's sustainable, and what we're seeing is that not only is the end result right now happening, but we believe our future results will continue to trend upward as well. So we started with insights. We started with the autopsy. We wanted to see what problems are we trying to address first, and then we want to give tools to all of our centers, and that's where the next dashboards come in place. So I'm going to show you this one first, which is our membership dashboard. And this is how we're trying to approach making sure that we're keeping as many members as possible, because you guys know this, if you sold 100 units and you termed 100 units, you net zero, it's not really a great thing to celebrate. I would rather you sell less and term a lot less and grow. So that's our whole philosophy right now. And what we're focusing on primarily is how do we engage our members early on? And this is where the Upace part comes in, because Upace is the housing for us for group exercise, for personal training. Group exercise is one of the number one ways to engage a member. So we want to make sure we get as many new members into group exercise as quickly as we can. So you'll see these 4 columns here. We got sales and terms. There's nothing dramatic there, but the engaging and saving is really where we want to drive our actions in our centers. So we want to put metrics in front of them that say, hey, you need to engage these members, or hey, you need to save these members. So this right here is the number one driver of most of our actions. And then we get to go a little bit deeper into our program dashboard, which is my personal favorite right now. So on our program dashboard, we really have some major sections. We have group exercise, we have personal training and specialty training, and then we have, aquatics and miscellaneous things beyond that. But for group exercise, apart from the insights that we have, like normal penetration rates and things like that, we wanted to make sure what we had here was actionable. It's one thing to put a metric in front of somebody and they say, hey, that's cool, that's great. It's another thing to say, hey, here's exactly what you do with it. So what you see on here are just a few basic components, but our big thing that we want to make sure we do is not only measure where our classes are, we want to improve them. We want to actually improve the class attendance. We want to get more members into them. So one of our newest ones here, the star of the show, is this class improvement protocol. So what we're doing is basically saying, hey, here are classes that aren't performing as well as we want them to. We're going to put them through a specific protocol, and that includes recommending them on Upace. It includes branding, it includes signage, it includes push notifications, it includes a variety of things. And what we're going to do is we're going to run those plays for about 3 to 4 weeks, and we're going to see how they did afterwards and how did we actually grow the classes. So what you see here, this is our demo version because we're about to launch this in the next week, is actual data from our classes. So if we sat here and said, hey, these are the classes that we're putting under protocol right now. These are the ones we're going to invest in to grow. Here are the results, right? So after the improvement protocol, this is the percentage increase in their total attendance, okay? So if you read through them, you could say, hey, at the Bartlett Y Step Strong class, we increased by 18% over a course of about 2 months, right? You can see, hey, Power 40 Burn did really well, increased by 48%. And then even some right here, this is important too, to show what classes did not improve, because we want to make sure we're using our funds wisely. Should we put it to the protocol and it doesn't improve? Probably a class that needs to come off, okay? So we're using this to drive actions and how we look into our schedules, see what our members want, and show to a T what's working, what actually improves our class attendance. And then we're going to start driving behaviors to get more members into them. So the other components that are on here is things like, hey, new members that have gotten into a class. So out of the people who have recently joined, how many of them did we actually get into the app and get into a class? And this right here is very important because we know that if we get them in, we're probably going to engage them a lot longer. We have our general performance that we've got, and we track 3 main metrics. We track our total attendance, our capacity filled, and the average class size. You put them all together and you can measure the effectiveness of a program. Soon, what we're trying to get in here is also a cost per head. We're trying to have an apples to apples measurement across the centers, because I'm similar to you guys where you have centers that are massive, you have centers that are not so massive. So how do you have one dashboard that has apples to apples measurements to where you can grade across the board and be on the same page? Total attendance on its own, probably not the best way to do it, because there's a lot of variables that if you've got a massive gym and you have a small gym, it's not going to even be close. So group exercise, we really want to make this part actionable here. As far as personal training goes, as I go back to this insight here, if you guys remember this number increasing year over year, doubling, this is because of one component. I literally mean it's because of one component on a dashboard, and it was this guy right here, trainer payroll cross-reference, okay? So probably like you guys, you have a software for this, a software for that, a software for this, and they don't talk to each other at all. You've got one for payroll, you've got one for the app, you've got one for Salesforce, you've got one for ticketing, you've got a variety of things, and they don't necessarily talk with each other. The biggest problem with that is that should trainers redeem sessions and should they clock in, there's no easy way to verify at a glance, are they the same numbers? And we found that we had a lot of unintentional and maybe some intentional errors across the board in that, where this is basically a check and balance. And once we put this in, it basically says, here's exactly how much your trainer should be paid. Spits it out. based on the redemptions. If you trained for an hour, you should be paid for an hour. So it doesn't sound too significant, but it yielded double year-over-year results for us just from putting this in front of our centers and making sure they can track it. And the goal for this moving forward is actually to potentially implement a system of dynamic pay, where the more you redeem, the more you get paid. And Salesforce would basically go back into our attendance for Paylocity. We use Paylocity for our HR, and it would stamp the record over there. And we would reward trainers. The more you train, the more you get paid. So that's the next rendition of this that we're trying to get to in the third quarter of this year. So we want to put this data in front of people. We want to make sure it's actionable. Yes, all the trends, right? I love leaderboards. All of that's great. But we want to give specifically our directors of our centers something that you do with this data. It's not just something that you look at every now and then. It's not something you reference and say, hey, we're doing good. We want to give them all something very tangible to do. And what we're finding that right now for just group exercise and PT is this class improvement protocol and the trainer payroll cross-reference. Those two things are making a massive difference for us right now, and we hope to see a lot more. We do have plans for more components on here. We're trying to get profit margin in here for everything. So we still have a long ways to go, but this is where we are currently. And I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of the show and tell from some of the dashboards we've been working on here in Memphis.
Wes, that was great. Thank you so much for diving in and showing those dashboards. One question for you. How did you start to identify like which metrics were the most important to track, and how has that evolved over time? So if someone's just getting started in the data dashboards, where to start and what would be your advice at that starting point?
The advice for starting point is don't fear an autopsy. Don't be afraid of it. And not just you, but you've got to make sure your organization is also ready for an autopsy. So there was a lot of time spent on the front end on my side to prepare us for it. Change management is a very real thing. And sometimes when you go through an autopsy, data can be hard to see, okay? So that's the first thing. It's more of a mentality around data and make sure that you're ready for real numbers. The second one is start off with the basics, right? Start off with sales, start off with terms. You can put them together, get your net growth, right? I'm sure similar to us that membership is your largest revenue line. Most of them are. For us and our centers, it's 85% of our revenue. So 85% of our effort should probably be on that line right there. How it's evolved is, again, we went from just having some graphs in front of people and they would say, hey, doing good. That's how we kind of started, but we wanted to evolve to create dashboards that are biased towards action, that they're biased towards success. And at the end of the day, I know we're all nonprofits for the most part, but money matters. And trying to put financial components on a dashboard in a live ticker format so you can see exactly where you are at all times is a very real need. So the part that we're working on right now in this second quarter is quicker reaction time. So we don't want to wait, 30, 40 days to see when the book's closed to see how we're doing on something. At that point, there is no reaction time. So we're trying to give live tickers. It's all in Salesforce. So we're just trying to put it in front of people in a way that they can make changes, they can adapt to it, and they can really do the things they need to do to make sure they're financially secure.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Wes. So up next, we have Emilio. Emilio is going to dive into member journey tracking and how you're looking and using the data around retention strategies. So with that, Emilio, if you could please share your screen.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rachel. Everyone, before I share, just wanted to talk a little bit about what we're working on. Caveat: this is a work in progress for us, but it's been in progress for a bit. For us, two common problems when it comes to data typically is one, getting to the right information, and two, as Wes just put it, putting it in front of the right people in a meaningful way that empowers them to do something with it. So for us, our goal was to take data points like fitness check-ins that come from Upace, in addition to other data points, and take it a step further, create a predictive data model to help identify members who may be at risk for churn, and then put that information in front of the right people when they need it. So what I'm going to take you through is what we have so far, and kind of what our plans are to take that and move it forward. So what I have here, real basic, this is our report on fitness orientations. on its own, it's pretty vanilla, but it does give a little bit of insight. What we do with information like this is we take things like check-ins, and then we create roll-up summaries. And these roll-up summaries will then create totals of how many of these things a contact or a member has. Using these data points, we then use Salesforce Analytics Studio, which is part of the Einstein predictive side of the house. And we can take all of these data points, so check-in the last 90 days, things like their membership categories, facility visits, how many course option enrollments. We iterate. We throw this into Analytics Studio. It goes through it, it analyzes, it comes back with something. And then this process is iterative, and it takes a while, but at this point, 25 versions later, we get to the point where we can test the model. So I'll show you really quick how this works. But once we have this predictive model, you can do things with it, and you throw what if scenarios at it. So in our simple example here, we want to test if a member has 0 to 1 facility visits, 0 to 1 fitness check-ins in the last 90 days. The model spits back that more likely than not, this membership status will be inactive, essentially a churn. As we go through the what ifs, we find that as you move up the facility visits from 0 to 1 to 5 to 10, suddenly the story changes quite a bit. Same thing as we add facility check-ins, or sorry, fitness check-ins that come from Upace. That bar moves even closer to active. Interestingly enough, as you add more variables, so for example, a family type membership on its own is less prevalent to churn just from facility or fitness check-ins alone, because the majority of our family members really rely on programs. So course option enrollments, increasing that is what drives greater possibility of retention. So knowing all that, we're able to take this and then start doing some really cool things with it. And the first thing we're doing is we're putting this information right on the contact record. And that comes over here. So this is a membership retention analysis, which takes that data model and then analyzes the specific content of and history of the contact that it's on. And then it gives us a really quick low risk or at risk classification. It'll tell us the top predictors based off of what we fed it. And we're also able to take that model's output and create a member retention risk score, which is down here. This risk score is numeric from 0 to 100. The lower the number, the less likely it will churn. So an example of an at-risk contact, unsurprisingly, no visits, no check-ins, adult member, very high member retention risk score. So having the information here at front desk really changes the game for our member engagement folks, because at the time that they are taking a program registration or upselling or changing anything about the member and what they're signing up for, having this information is critical, because they know now they can do something with it. They know that there's greater potential for churn, and they can take steps to try to prevent that. So that puts the information right at the fingertips of our front desk people. The next place we can put this on is right at check-in. So this is our check-in screen. We can create a visualization of this engagement score right as the member's walking in. So they don't even have to come up to front desk. As they check in, this engagement score of low risk, medium risk, high risk is visible, and again, provides an opportunity for our staff to engage with these members. And the third place we're looking to put this in, and again, this, I haven't even talked to them about it yet, but this is the mock-up for it. Traction Rec is currently working on something called Welcome Center. And the way Welcome Center works is it'll give our staff visualization of everyone who has checked into the facility in the last hour. Putting this engagement score right on Welcome Center now gives our member engagement staff the ability to interact with these members within the facility and have that opportunity to figure out what's going on, have a plan, have those conversations that will make a huge difference. So this is how we're currently using or plan to use this model in a more informational way. But the vision is that we take this and we inject it into automated journeys. We can take this information and pair it with a survey, collect feedback from our members, find out why is it that they're at risk. Take that feedback, feed it back to the model, improve that, or turn that into actionable steps. So for us, the one factor we're not currently using, which is the power of something like this, is that it can identify who is at risk, but it can also identify steps that you can take based off of prior interactions. So the more someone interacts with what we send them, pages on our site, programs that they're looking at, that'll create actionable steps for our staff to take. So not only will it point out those members who are at risk, it'll say, hey, if you do these 3 things, you may improve the ability for them to continue on and be retained. So that is where we're currently at. We're super excited. And that is all I got. Back to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Emilio. That was absolutely incredible. Thank you for sharing your membership retention analysis. A question I have for you is, what data points have you found most valuable for predicting and improving member retention? We saw all those roll-ups that go into your Einstein prediction, but which data points do you find most valuable?
Yeah, unsurprisingly, it's really those interaction points combined with the member personas. For us, it was really interesting to see how things lined up depending on certain situations, what kind of member they were, where they were from. As we continue building this model, we're going to be giving it a lot more information. So I think the thought here is that we'll get a lot more insight based off of those factors that we've yet to inject. So still a lot of possibility for growth. The model, obviously, there's room for error, but the more we can feed it, I think the closer we'll be to a very strong model that we can trust.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we're going to have Gabe Brand show his dashboards regarding data visualization systems and decision-making tools. Take it away, Gabe.
Thank you. So my dashboard is not as cool as Wes's and Emilio's, but what we've been doing is we've been tackling some of our smaller issues in our personal training and Group X classes. One of them is we have tried to incorporate a little bit of gamification using the data we get back from Upace. So starting off here, we have our personal training dashboard. We have a PT leaderboard where we can see instructors by the number of check-ins that they have. So one of our biggest issues that we had for a long time was our instructors not remembering to check in their personal training sessions or their Group X classes. So what we have done is we've created this leaderboard to kind of engage those instructors, encourage them to check in those classes and potentially win prizes and get to the top of that leaderboard, so we can have 100% check-in in our Upace system. Over here, this dashboard kind of shows the number of different members our instructors engage. So right here at the top, we have Hashana. She has the most number of unique contacts that she engages with her personal training sessions. And then following Noel with his, a lot of his are existing customers. He's one of our longest standing trainers here at the JCC. So we can see that here. Coming down a little bit more, we scroll into our group Pilates sessions and our private Pilates sessions, and we have a breakdown of how those are doing based on check-ins, based on the month and year that the check-ins occurred. So we can see that last month we had 6 trials, so we probably had some new members coming in, wanted to explore our Pilates programs. Our director of fitness is able to see how many people were checked in for those as well. Over here we can see what our most common packages purchased by our members are, and then we can also see how many remaining credits there are left on those packages, trying to encourage those members to come in, redeem those credits, and things like that. And then scrolling down, we can see our most popular package that has been checked in, which is our 30-minute personal training 5-pack. We have a lot of members that go for that one. It's a nice introduction personal training package. You get to get familiar with our instructors and then potentially move up to those longer sessions and more passes available. Scrolling down into our Group X classes, again, we're incorporating that leaderboard, trying to encourage our Group X instructors to check those classes in. We can see that Therese is our leading instructor here. She teaches the most classes out of all of our instructors. She's kind of all over in our fitness center, which is great. We like to see that our instructors are engaging with our members, helping out the facility, allowing us to offer a wide variety of those classes that she teaches. And then we can see over here the classes that she does teach by instructor and how many check-ins they have for each of those classes. We can see our total number of check-ins this year. This is very helpful. When we were in our previous system, we were nowhere close to this number. We've definitely doubled, even tripled this number, so which is great. Scrolling down again, number of check-ins by class all time. So in the last 2.5 years, we've had almost 6,000 check-ins to our body pump class, which we can come over here and see that body pump is one of our most popular classes here at the JCC, followed by our aqua classes that we offer here at the pool. And then let's see, member check-ins. So we want to include our members in the gamification aspect of the data. So seeing which members are most engaged in our fitness and Group X classes and things like that, and then potentially offering them prizes such as maybe a free 5-pack of Pilates sessions, free 30-minute 5-pack for personal training and things like that. And then this comes in handy too as well because we're able to add our Upace class attendance lightning component to their actual contact pages and get a quick overview on how engaged our members are when we're also looking at what registrations they have and things like that right there on their contact, which is very helpful in that aspect. We also use this data for other things such as determining which classes are most successful here at our JCC, which need a little more promotion and things like that. But yeah, I think that's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Gabe. One question
you.
for you is how did you go about making your data visualizations accessible and actionable for staff who might not be data savvy or, be hesitant of looking at graphs and charts? Like, what was your philosophy of how you started building it out so that way it was welcoming for everyone on your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first things that we did was we subscribed all of our directors and instructors to this dashboard so they get a weekly email with this great visualization to their inbox every week, I believe on Monday, and they can start that week seeing where they are on the leaderboard, and kind of get excited for the week and try to meet their goals and accomplishments and things like that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Gabe. So now we're going to go into some roundtable discussions and questions that we have. And any one of our attendees, please pop any questions into the chat that you would like our panelists to be able to answer. So to get started, share with us one of your biggest data-related surprises or unexpected insights that you weren't expecting to see when you were building out your dashboards.
Not sure if there was an order, but I'll start on that one. Not necessarily a surprise, but maybe the specificity of it was surprising. When we started looking at personal training, again, that's gotten the most attention this first quarter because it was low-hanging fruit for us. We knew we could improve on it probably pretty quickly with just having accurate data in front of us. What we found is a ratio, right? And a ratio of correct redemptions to incorrect redemptions, right? And should there be one incorrect redemption to every 3 correct ones, it just about wipes out the profit margin of those previous 3. So that's the ratio that we found. And that right there, when you put that number in front of people, when people are approving payroll, they start realizing that each redemption matters at that point. Because we're paying the trainer, we got to make sure that the deferred revenue is still coming in accurately to make sure that it goes in there. And it's a profit driving program. That's what it's meant for. So that ratio, that specific ratio, is very surprising when we found that.
Another question for you all. What's one data point that you wish you had started tracking earlier?
Oh, I can take that one. Feedback. I think feedback collection early on would have been super helpful. I think we're finding now, feedback contextualizes a lot of the data that we already have. So in terms of analyzing trends and sentiment, that's super valuable to have. And you can only capture it in such a small period of time too. You really have to be deliberate.
Amazing. I love that, Amelia. Especially we always tell our Upace clients to turn your feedback on after every class appointment, every personal training, what we call equipment. So it could be your swim lanes, childcare, you name it, to start gathering that. One of the things is you're looking at all these, data points on your dashboards, which has been amazing to be able to see. But how do you turn what you're seeing in patterns and trends into actual operational changes? If you can kind of share how you guys have gone about that to make operational change and what was that like?
I guess I can take that one. So for us, what we've done is we've taken the data and we've looked and the feedback because we have our surveys turned on in Upace, and we've kind of observed and heard our members, and from there we've been able to offer more Pilates classes. We've even grown it to where we can offer level 2 and level 3 Pilates classes, which has been great. So that's one way we've taken the data and kind of used it to help operational standpoint.
I was going to try to tack on there if I could. So my general philosophy around this whole approach we're doing is, one, make reaction time fast. That's one of our philosophies. But the other one is to remove as many obstacles as we can. And data is a representation in a story. That's what it is. It tells a story. But when you start digging into what is actually happening operationally, you find there are obstacles all across the board, and most of them are not needed. So the more that we can remove obstacles, the more that we can make things easier. At the end of the day, I know we're serving members, but these dashboards serve our employees, right? That's what they're for. They're the end user for them. So even the UI, the UX, whatever you want to call it, the user experience of the dashboards matter. And if you can take people's problems and reduce them, they're very happy and they'll be much more likely to actually use the things you put in front of them.
I'm going to lead in right with my next question after that answer. That was perfect. What's really been the most meaningful impact of your data work on your members' experiences?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Lauren. I don't know if there's a single greatest impact. I think thinking back, I think it's been gradual, but it all started, at least for us, with process alignment and standardization, which are two very unsexy things to talk about when you talk about data, but it's just so critical for us. The state of data was so chaotic. Everyone was doing things their own way. There was really no standardization. And that ultimately was very difficult to track, but it also created not a very good experience for members. I think the more you standardize, the more that you align with process to really clean things up and make sure that it's deliberate, it ends up translating to a much better customer experience. They can find things the same way. They can, it's predictable. So yeah, that's been the most important thing for us, I think.
So one of the things that I tried to remind people is that everyone that came to our facilities, whether you're YMCA, JCC, whatever you may be, they all came there for a reason, right? You've got them. They're members. They all came there for a reason. You don't have to necessarily sell them on it anymore. They did it. And whenever they don't last long, like their membership lifespan, there is typically a reason why. And it's either because they didn't become engaged early on, which is our responsibility. It really is. You have this term out there called health seekers, right? They're seeking to be healthy, but maybe they haven't found it yet. So similar approach as far as removing obstacles for our employees, same idea there. What intentional touch points can you have that are automated but personal at the same time? They came there for a reason. So how are we delivering on our promise that we said that we're gonna make you healthier, we're gonna get you engaged, we're gonna make sure you're not lonely, we're gonna make sure that we are actually doing the mission that we're out to do. So it all comes back to that for me.
I think for us, for member experience, the data has allowed us to kind of track when our members have grown out of our base level classes and offer more higher level classes to watch our members engage. So those members that have advanced beyond those beginner level classes can grow and stay at our facility, not looking for other facilities that offer those higher level programs.
That's amazing. Thank you all for your insights. We have one question in the chat from Anna. How can leaders make data familiar to our teams that find data unfamiliar and intimidating? Any onboarding tips and tricks?
So this may sound cheesy at first. Make your data beautiful. I know that sounds weird at first, but make it beautiful. And the reason why I say make it beautiful is that means that you're going to be focused on the small details. People should not work hard to understand data. They should be able to look at it. They should be able to see quickly exactly what they're supposed to get from it. And if you pull up something that looks like a fighter cockpit and they're not a pilot, right, and they're trying to navigate it, they're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to turn it off. They're not going to use that tool effectively. So that's why I say make it beautiful. Make it very simple. Make it minimalist. Put in front of them one number, right? Put one number in front of them that tells them exactly what they need to know. And if you do that, you start building on it. And then you give them two numbers, right? Put the second number in front of them and they'll start recognizing how to use it. And at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be infectious. I'm a data junkie, and I want everyone around me to also become a data junkie and to understand that, again, it's a story. And as long as you can interpret the story, you can do things with it. Your finances get better, your enrollments get better, everything gets better. So my tip is to make it beautiful.
I love that, Wes. Yeah, that was a great thought. Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that is just really know your audience. I think understanding, what the report or the dashboard is really, who it's really meant for is super important, because again, it's easy to have data sprawl. It's easy to get sucked into having too many visuals. But at the end of the day, it always goes back to, it's great to have data be there, but what's the point? What are you hoping that someone will be able to do with it? I think understanding that really bridges that gap and informs of what data you're actually going to have on that report or dashboard.
I guess for me, really sitting down with those leaders and department heads if you can, and get their input and insight on the information that they're wanting to see. Because yes, you can infer data that might be useful for them, but if they don't feel connected to that data, they're not going to really want to look and use that data.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Wes, Emilio, and Gabe. As our last and final question, what are your key takeaways from the conversation today, or key last insights that you want to share with the group?
I guess for me, um, seeing Wes's and Emilio's dashboards and the things that they've done, um, just shows me the potential of growth with the data that we have and all the possibilities that we can do with it. So that's what really excites me moving forward.
I don't know, it's hard to have one key takeaway. All of this started with an autopsy, and I'll just come back to that. I really like using the word autopsy because it helps you understand things. And again, if you're a Jim Collins fan, the autopsy without blame, right? Key takeaway is don't fear it. Don't fear it. It's data. It's your baseline. It's where you start. And then when you have a starting point, you can pick where you want to go after that and get the processes in between that actually get you there. So don't fear the autopsy. Gabe, thanks for the shout on that too. Love seeing your stuff too, man. Stay connected. This whole thing right here, this is a big thing because you'll find that probably everyone on this call has a component that you're jealous of and you want to steal it. And we know how we work, right? We love stealing ideas. So stay connected and steal things from other people, I think is a really good thing to do.
100%. Wes, no, and likewise, great job by both you and Gabe. I think my takeaway that I'd love to share is acknowledging that it's really easy to feel overwhelmed and distracted by just so much that's going on, especially with the rate of change of technology, all of this that's getting pumped every single day for us. It's easy to feel like you're falling behind. I think the reality though is that we're all in the same boat. We're all learning. We're all trying to just keep up. I love to go back and just center and always remind myself to focus on the value proposition. What is it that you are trying to accomplish for your members, for your staff, and then approach it with that way first. Find the approach and then look for the tool that's best going to meet that need. And that approach may or may not include any of this cutting edge tech, and that's okay because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And the goal should always be to find the right solution for the use case and not the other way around.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, Wes, Emilio, and Gabe for showcasing your dashboards and giving everyone a lot to think about, and I'm sure a lot of ideas, as Wes mentioned, to steal and kind of take back to your rec center. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen again. So you should be able to see my screen in just a second. So one of our reminders, this has been recorded. So if anyone on your team that you wish to watch this recording back, or if you want to rewatch it, we're going to be sharing that recording with everyone within the next 24 hours or so. So Lauren, do you want to share?
Yes, I also thank you to our panelists for sharing their visualizations and their input. It's been really such a learning experience being here and listening to you. Come see Traction Rec in person. We will be at the Small Medium Y CEO conference, April 29th to the 30th, and the NATO conference, April 30th to May 3rd. We love seeing your faces, so we hope to see you at those conferences if you are attending.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for joining and participating and being here today. If anyone wants to reach out for our team, how Wes, Emilio, and Gabe got a lot of that data is through our classes, package objects. That's custom with the Upace platform. If you are a current Upace client and would like to have access to that, please reach out to Matt on our team. His email is there. You could also book a call directly with him by scanning that QR code, or you could reach out to our support and we can get those objects added into your Traction Rec Salesforce environments. That way you're able to access that same data that was able to be showed today. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to the Traction Rec team for being our partner and integration partner and coming together to put on a great webinar today. We appreciate everyone's time, especially Wes, Emilio, and Gabe, for sharing your knowledge and what you've built and your insights. And thank you everyone for attending. Again, we're here to support any next steps of the Traction Rec team with their hello@tractionrec.com or reaching out directly to the Upace team.